I just updated my skills and tools guide with AI engineering topics. So if you're into that, let's check it out. And by the way, if you find stuff that I've been missing, let me know in the comments and I'm going to add it to the skills and tools guide. All right, my idea here with this guide was to give you some information about what are skills that engineers need on different levels, right? I've been adding here on a junior engineer level, on a data engineer or associate level, senior, data architects, ML engineers. I think ML engineers, I need to replace this with AI engineers or something. But that is what you have in there. That is a bit older. I'm going to replace this soon. And then I have my platform blueprint that I always say is one of the most important things in data engineering, because how a platform works, like you have one stage that has some connect. I always call this the connect stage, where you connect to APIs, where you have data integration tools laying around, the storage part, some processing with also orchestration, and some buffers where you have message queues, and then a visualization part where you might have UIs, BI tools, mobile apps, whatever. And then based on that, what I've done is I created, and I have a bit more information about that whole thing here. What I created then from that is a tools guide. And as I just updated this. The idea with the tools guide is this. I sorted this based on the blueprint, and then I created here different areas, like here APIs, data integration tools, message queues, processing, scheduling, and that for the platforms. Cloud native, that means AWS, Azure, GCP, or then cloud agnostic. That means you can put this on any cloud platform that you have here, open source, available, or from specific vendors. So that means, for instance, if you've been watching the last videos, we were here on this part, we were talking about in the data migration, we were talking about Fivetran, and that is also where you find Fivetran. And we were also talking for the greenfield approach with Airbyte, which should actually go here in the vendor part. Or is that open source? Oh no, Airbyte here. Look, Airbyte. So you see how these things fit together, right? Now, I had here message queues, processing, and then scheduling, and then machine learning, and then the data stores, right? Again, if I missed something, let me know. From the data source perspective, you have the typical OLTP databases, the transactional database, and the file stores. I mangled them together here. So you have RDS, for instance, as a database here. You have Cosmos DB as a transactional database. From the perspective of, okay, we are here in GCP, Cloud SQL, right? Bigtable, cloud storage on the raw data, on the file storage front. Open source, MySQL, Postgres, and then on the vendor stuff, something like Microsoft SQL, Oracle SQL, and then we have the vector stores that I find interesting. Maybe I'm going to put the vector stores in the next version here below. Well, let's see. Vector stores, which are important for everything with LLM, for everything retrieval, augmented generation, RAG. And then we have the OLAP stuff, the analytical databases, right? To make it a bit easier, we have here AWS, Azure, GCP, Open, and Vendor. So for vector stores, I was thinking on AWS, and I looked that up. What can you do? You can use OpenSearch here, and you can use S3 vectors, which is the S3 version where you can also store vectors in it, so you can retrieve the documents, as I understand, very easily. But I haven't used it, but this is where you find on AWS. Also, you're going to find this on every platform, this combination of Postgres as a database, PostgreSDB, and pgvector as the add-on to make your Postgres database a vector store, or give vector store capabilities to your Postgres database. You find this here. You've in RDS and Aurora. You find this on Azure with the SQL database here. You find this on Cloud SQL on GCP, right? You of course can host this yourself. So that's where you find this combination very often. Azure Cache for Redis. So Redis is also here, and the open source part, Redis, you can have a vector store, and then BigQuery also seems to have it, but also mainly on GCP. That's where Vertex AI comes in, which is, as I understand it, the one AI platform for GCP. And then on the open source version here, open source column. Qdrant that I use all the time because I like Qdrant. I have no affiliation or no partnership with Qdrant, but I like it. Milvus, where you also can use Elasticsearch, which I have a course at Learn Data Engineering for, with vectors as a vector store. MongoDB, Supabase, and then from the vendor part, Pinecone, MongoDB Atlas. These are the parts that you only get in combination with a vendor. So that in terms of vector stores, and then I also had other things. As I put in the comments, if there's something that I'm missing here that is important, I have various topics that I found very interesting. And by the way, if you want to download this, just go to learndataengineering.com, scroll past my academy and past the AI engineering track, and then here you have the main YouTube channel, you have the free lab section, which I also can recommend because there are long free courses, Databricks, orchestration with Kestra, DuckDB and MotherDuck, Docker fundamentals. There's a analytics store, MPP, massive parallel processing data store coming with Exasol, and also a Zapier, a new one. And then you scroll past this, and here is the skills and tools guide. You just click it and first name and email address, everything that I need, and then you're going to get your skills and tools guide version. We just updated it, and also you're going to receive future emails from me when I do more updates, when I do more videos and interesting stuff for engineers. So the various topics, I was thinking, okay, how can I frame this? What are the important parts? I think the frameworks are important. Which frameworks do you usually use to create pipelines, to organize and work with LLMs? Then infrastructure, what infrastructure can you use to host AI applications or that you usually need? Orchestration is always something important, right? You can do already a bit of orchestration with LangGraph, but orchestration tools, observability tools, where do you get your data models, where you get the LLMs, from, and also how can you evaluate the outputs, and then the models that are important, I think. And that's how I try to structure it. If you find something that I should put in there, let me know. Frameworks, I was thinking, okay, what is important for frameworks? LlamaIndex, I've worked with before. That is good. And also LangChain and LangGraph, that combination where you can create easy pipelines for RAG, for whatever you want. That is super good. I used that, for instance, before LangGraph to add tools to my platform so the LLM can actually do some reasoning and can select then which tools it should use. It's pretty cool. I've done another YouTube video on my main channel. I can link this on the top right. If this works, if it's on a different channel, I think so, where I've done that with Oracle. Actually, it was really nice. So that, then infrastructure. I was thinking, okay, which infrastructure do we need? Ollama is always cool. If you want to learn Ollama, you just install it on your machine, download a small model, a 7B model or something, and then host your own LLM. You don't need to use Claude. You don't need to use ChatGPT. Just play with that. If you want to create an MCP server, the fastest way to create an MCP server, use FastMCP. It's just like it was when you wanted to create APIs. You used Fast API. And then here you can use FastMCP to create an MCP server yourself. Very, very nice. If you want to have a ChatGPT-like web interface that you can host as a Docker container somewhere, on AWS, on GCP, wherever, open WebUI. I think that is really cool. Light LLM for routing, I haven't used that. Bedrock on AWS, where you host LLMs and you can basically show or make them available as an API. Bedrock, really cool. Azure AI Foundry and GCP Vertex. I think these are the main ones that you are going to use on the cloud. Orchestration, N8N, that is, a lot has been said about N8N. CrewAI, also, I talked with them, but never really worked with it. Same with N8N. I need to do a bit more here. But I'm creating a course here for Zapier, which is really interesting what they have done, by the way. Because Zapier, I've been using Zapier for years now for my academy. When people basically purchase the academy, then there runs an automation in the background that sends them information. For instance, the legal terms and so on, and a lot of additional automation. And what was really cool with Zapier always that you were able to connect to platforms like Databricks and so on, and you can actually execute actions there. So what they did is they created an MCP server and an SDK. So you're able to host MCP servers that you create yourself, and you have an SDK for code, and you can orchestrate that, what you want to do. It's really cool. So that is a bit of a secret thing that I like. Observability, I haven't used that before, but I always come across Langfuse and Langsmith. So these two, take a look at, because you want to see what's going on with your pipelines, with your product, right? You need to get the models from somewhere. Hugging Face is the platform to get ML models from, not ML, LLMs from, and also other models. Hugging Face, also Kaggle seems to have a model library. So interesting. And then comes the evaluation part, RAGAS specifically for RAG applications. And these two here are more for, okay, you have an LM, you have a chatbot, and you make sure your chatbot answers the correct way, doesn't hallucinate, or is, let's say, I don't know, politically correct, doesn't use swear words, or doesn't expose some secrets that you can use with DeepEval and so on. So that, and then I was thinking about, okay, which models do I think are interesting to use? Facebook models through Llama, they have good models. Mistral has, Mistral, the 7B Mistral is really good. It's not that big, 13 gigabytes or something. I used that for courses before. That's good. Qwen is really good for reasoning, although Mistral also has one that is specifically for reasoning. I don't remember how that was called. So Qwen, the 7B, I was used for reasoning to basically use with LangGraph to understand, okay, which are the tools that I have, and then it calls the right tools. So if I ask information about a pipeline from Databricks, it can actually understand, okay, I need to use my tool that has in the description pipeline information from Databricks, right? That is super important. So Phi. And then sentence transformers, which is for everything RAG. Sentence transformers is the base of everything, because with sentence transformers, you have your sentence and you actually create then your vector that you store in the vector store with sentence transformers. There are also others, but I use sentence transformers before. So that, and then the other way around as well, right? Once the vectors are stored, you ask a question, create the vectors of the question, compare the vectors from the question to the vectors of the vector store, and then get the right documents or the right information back. So that's why I have sentence transformers here as well. And I think these are the important topics that you need for AI engineering and for engineers, basically, who want to get more into AI. Again, if you want to download this, just go to learndataengineering.com. Here I have the section. There's also the section of the cookbook, but yeah. And if you write me an email or write a comment here below. I hope you had fun. I hope this is interesting for you and helps you a bit. Let me know in the comments if I missed something super important. I always do. It's me, not perfect. And yeah, or let me know what kind of videos you also want to see in the future. If you haven't checked them out, look at the last videos about the platform design, the migration, and the greenfield use case. I'm going to put them here right after this in the outro where you can click. Okay? See you next time.